How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTCReaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether price is going up or down. So over on Dixie for the daily, we are continuing our breakout. We did push into this previous consolidation range. Remember, that is from that bear market breakdown. So if we overcome this, we could continue higher and continue to push up. Usually when this goes up, crypto does do a pullback. We may see some correlation soon. We have seen temporary correlation in some days, and then some days it does seem like the inverse correlation is dominant as well. So there's a little indecision on that going on right now, but I feel like we may see the correlation soon. We do have some new indicators we're going to cover on Bitcoin, and those are going to give us like price projections that we could do. So stick around for that. Momentum is pushing forward. VWAP is in the bullish territory. Our money flow is in the green. So overall, we do look positive. Stochastic's pushing up, RSI's pushing up. This could continue toward our breakout point, right above that top of that channel. Again, watch for a rejection of the top of that channel as well. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we need to move this back a little bit. Visual order, move back. There we go. So over on Bitcoin dominance, we did continue forward. We are pushing at the 61% area. This is positive for Bitcoin outperforming altcoins. But it's mainly attributed to altcoins did take a little bit of a loss today. Bitcoin is going up. Remember, we did talk yesterday, your money does move around. So you'll go from one sector to another. So one day one coin may do better than another. Again, watch those trends. They can kind of tell you what kind of things are going to be hot for the season. VWAP is pushing forward. Money flow is in the green. Stochastic is pushing up. And the RSI is continuing forward. We will get on to Anchor in a little bit for you, Milkman. I typically go based off pattern trading, but our new indicator we're going to cover on Bitcoin, we can leave it applied and use that on Anchor as well to show you kind of how that's projecting at least short-term price and where it could move to. So our VWAP is pushing forward, Stochastic is gaining strength, that money flow is pushing up. Overall, dominance does look positive, again, to outperform our total. So over on total, we do have a retest. We did reject it, did not change our line color. Sorry, guys. Changing almost everything, so we did have a rejection off that 801 area. We are making a pullback. We are retesting this kind of zone right here at that 743. If we break through the 743, we could continue down toward that 674, and if we were to see this correction happen, that would mean most of our altcoins would end up pulling back. VWAP is pulling back, money flow is rounding away, momentum is rounding, that stochastic's dropping, and RSI is starting to pull back. So the 1 hour does, or 1 day does look like it's starting to pull back. Watch that 1 hour and see if it holds bullish or not. Over on our 1 hour, we do have a bearish wave here, but if it can overcome and become bullish, we could have a shorter wave in comparison to here. And then if we get another strong bullish wave like here on VWAP, that will maintain that momentum, that'll push that momentum off our neutral, money flow would remain green, and then we would be able to solidify a bit of a bounce here. We do have higher highs with higher lows going on right here. After getting lower highs with lower lows, we did say to watch out for that. So hopefully you watch out for that. You saw it didn't really last long, and now we may be trying to make a new bullish continuation. So over on Bitcoin futures, we'll hop over on the daily here. Over on Bitcoin futures, we are just running up. Again, we do have those lower areas. We did defy that kind of bearish target of that double top on lower time frames. At least it looks like we will cover that. Our stochastic is pretty flat. RSI is flat. Momentum does want to round. It does have a double red dot suggesting it wants to pull back. So that VWAP could continue to break that neutral. If that VWAP continues lower, momentum will start to weaken, bringing money flow lower over time. So again, watch those lower time frames. We want them to remain more bullish if we're going to push forward. I'm not a big fan of how that looks, so send that to the back as well. That didn't help too much. We can, if you do end up with things not looking how you want, you can change the opacity, make it a little easier to see through. That way you're not quite seeing the price target right through it. There we go. That's a little easier to see the bars. So we are trying to push forward off that support area of that EMA. If we can continue past this EMA and break through those lower, that 10 and 5 EMA, then we could continue to push up and further gain bullish momentum. That VWAP is trying to push forward. Again, watch for a stronger higher low. If we get a higher low or a break through this low and we don't kind of hold on to it like we did back here, we could continue forward. I would watch very close. That money flow is bullish, but if that VWAP starts to favor, we could end up pulling back. Over on Bitcoin, we do have an indicator that does suggest we could go further though, so we will get rid of market cipher B for now, so delete that. Go to indicators, and we do have two we'll cover here. So the first one is this echo forecast, and because I made the line black before I tried the other one, we're going to have to go to inputs, forecast style, change that to a white line, hit OK, and that will push us forward. So over on the 1 hour, we do have a breakup target of around 93K here, revisiting previous highs, providing we can bounce off this kind of neckline area where we tried to have that kind of double top possibility happen. So I would watch, we would want to continue forward from here. We will kind of delete that neckline though, as it'll make this little thing kind of easier to see. Over on the daily though, we do have a breakup target of around 100K. This was around 104K when I first started using it earlier, so we will want to keep an eye and see how this thing kind of shifts and moves. But from what I have read and what I've seen, it does act kind of predictive. It does usually show price action. Remember, every indicator is going to be wrong occasionally, so don't take one indicator and just run with it, because you want to use all of this together. Yeah, we'll get on graph next too, and we'll leave this kind of thing here so you can see what our projection for graph would be. We'll kind of do that with the rest of the market, as that market cipher A is more for supports on those EMAs. So VWAP does have lower highs. We are pulling back. Watch for a lower low. If we break for a lower low, that momentum could end up breaking down, causing money flow to sell off. So I would exercise caution on there. Over on our second tool, I'm not sure how I like this tool, so this is why we're not going to leave this one here. But this is called next pivot. We don't want all the indicators, so next pivot is showing we may drop down, but if you kind of hover over here, it does say there's a high probability, 100%, that we would make a higher low there. That is using previous price history to make that determination. Again, no indicator is going to be 100% accurate, so we could push down below it, we could stop short of it, or we may not see that breakdown. I'm betting more on that kind of retracement. We did see a quick push up. Usually when you get a quick push up, you do see some sort of retracement. At other indicators not quite showing the same retracement, so that's why I'm going to kind of play with them for a while and watch them. But from what I've read, I did not change my default, so we gotta go back to that forecast style. If you want to change default, go here, save as default. Now every time you use it, it'll look the same. So I am going to leave this because I did do a little more research on this one versus the other. I will be doing a little bit more deeper dive into them as the week progresses. So over on graph for the daily, this does give us a breakdown scenario on this indicator. So we may start to see lower highs with consistent lows that could end up making some sort of a descending triangle if we're not careful, and that could push us lower. That's theoretically just based on that one indicator. Again, watch the other indicators because we did see the shift on Bitcoin, so it does change. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is starting to pull back. Our momentum is rounding. VWAP is pulling back. And the money flow is starting to pull back as well. So I would watch. We did reject that value area high. If we do not get a higher low here, followed by higher highs, then this pattern may actually come to fruition. So over on that 1 hour here, we do have lower highs and consistent lows that could make that descending triangle here on the 1 hour. And that would be a bearish pattern to retest that 16,316 and try to break us down. Now the 1 hour is going counter to the 1 day, and the 1 hour does show we may see some consolidation followed by a push up. So we are going to kind of want to watch this. It may depend more on kind of how many candles you have as well. Again, that's why we're going to play with it a bit. So Stochastic is starting to push down. That RSI does want to gain strength. I'm watching more of our indicators right now. That VWAP does look like it does want to get shorter on most of these coins. If that VWAP can shorten up in this bearish territory, we could continue this kind of trend where we do look a little more bearish, then we bounce back and continue up. But we are seeing things like money flow pulling out, and money flow getting weaker is showing people are selling more than they're buying. So a lot of people, I think like 95% of people are in profits. I'm a big proponent of DCA in and DCA out. I've taken profits 3 times myself since this run up. Now, that doesn't mean I'm completely locked out of profits. I still have profits and initial riding, but I at least took a little bit off the table, because then if we do crash down, I still have a bit of a gain, and I'm not like, man, I wish I sold some, and I will lock some of that in, because you don't want to get too emotional when trading. So over on Anchor here, we do have a very similar situation where this does project lower highs, but this does have lower lows. That's positive because that could create a descending channel. That descending channel could be a bullish pattern to break us back forward and get a rebound. So I did mention the other day, I believe we're in a bit of a consolidation period. We need to break away from these periods where we're stuck in this kind of range. If you look over on the weekly, we've been kind of gridlocked in the same kind of range for quite some time. So we do want to overcome this kind of range between all these white EMAs, or white support horizontals, sorry. We want to break above that and continue above it if we're going to see positive bullish momentum for our altcoins. If we stay kind of gridlocked here, it's likely we'll still be in a sort of accumulation period. Again, it's the end of the year. Most people are trying to do tax loss harvesting, so there may not be as much money rolling into investments. I typically have seen people buying more in January, February, usually when they're getting their returns and seeing how things look. Usually that's when they're a little more willing to buy in because they've covered their taxes, they are moving on, and they're growing for the next year to come. So a long-winded answer, but over on the 1 hour, our stochastic 31 cents for, is that graph or for Anchor, Abolisher? If you're talking on Anchor here, on this 1 hour is targeting us breaking that 30 cents and pushing forward right around 32, revisiting those other highs. Over on the daily, it does look like we may end up seeing actually a rejection right around that 28.78. So over on graph, we are at that 18 cent area right now. Based on the daily is projecting we may retest that 16.316. I would look over on the 1 hour. That 1 hour does show we do have a potential consolidation that could be going on, but after that consolidation, we may get a bullish trend. I would watch for that bullish trend. If that bullish trend does come to fruition, then we would get those higher highs with higher lows, create a new bullish continuation, and then yes, we would push up to our next kind of support resistance area. So if we look over at the 1 day here, that's easier to see. Our next kind of area would be around this 18.032. If we can that's where we are actually. Sorry, getting confused with the way the lines look now. Just changed this just before the video started. So if we can break this 18 cent area, we do have, I'd say, around this 20 cent. You can see some candle bodies here, some bodies here. It'd be easier if I drew a horizontal line for you. So there you go. So you see candle bodies touching back here, back here, back here, back here. So this is a pretty solid support resistance area. You can look back even further if you would like. And then if we overcome that range, I would look at your next consolidations kind of support range somewhere in right there. So around 26 cents. And then once we're able to overcome that 26 cents, that's when we would make that move toward that 30 cents right up here around that 31 cent area, possibly lower 30s, depending on how you would want to draw your consolidation range. So we do have those kind of areas. I hope that is helpful for you. So I would just watch this kind of projection. That projection does look like we may see a little bit more of our accumulation phase. Again, that does line up. If we look here, this is till the end of December into January. So that kind of lines up with that time frame where I said end of January, beginning of February, maybe when people start actually buying in and start accumulating upwards. So that does kind of line up with that projection. We will have to see if that's accurate or not. Again, nothing's 100%. Everything does have a probability of being wrong. That's why you don't take one thing and run for it. So over on the 1 day on Anchor, we are pushing forward. We are seeing a bit of a retracement. Stochastic does want to round. RSI is pulling back. Momentum is rounding. That VWAP is pushing down. Money flow is in the green, but with that VWAP pulling back, I would exercise caution. This does look like lower highs and lower lows. They don't look like they connect very well right here. So depending on how this shakes out, that could create a descending channel that would push you up, or a bearish continuation. Remember, if they connect, you have that descending channel. If they don't connect, kind of like the projection's trying to show, then that would be that bearish continuation, and then we may see lower lows from there. Yeah, no problem, Abolisher. Also, if you have any other projects you're watching, you want like a quick little TA on, let me know. We did have SHIB requested, so we will be doing that after Algo. Our stochastic is starting to push down. VWAP is in the bearish territory. Momentum is dropping. RSI is weakening. Stochastic is falling. So the 1 hour doesn't look very strong right now. We do have lower highs with lower lows. But watch that VWAP. If that VWAP overcomes that neutral and holds, then we will push forward. However, if that VWAP makes that rejection, getting a lower high here, we could see it followed by a lower low, which would put the bears more in favor and continue that bearish consolidation possibility. Then we wouldn't get this break up that the 1 hour is showing. So again, I'm not sure if the 1 hour is going to be more accurate or if the 1 day is going to be more accurate. We're going to be playing with this indicator here. So over on XRP for the daily, we do look like we do have that breakup possibility to that 80-cent target we have been looking at for the last several weeks and possibly months at this point. So it does look like that is finally a possibility. That would be right around that value area high, that red line. So I would watch for red candles in that zone. If you get red candles in that zone, you could end up pulling back. It does look like there is a projection that could happen, and then we may end up kind of stabilizing, maybe creating a consolidation zone to give a mini bull flag to push up. But again, we're going to have to see how things play out. Stochastic does want to round away. That RSI is starting to pull back. Momentum is rounding. VWAP does have lower highs, and we are starting to push down for lower lows. So watch those lower time frames, because if that bearish trend continues on lower time frames, it does look like our VWAP is about to pull back, which will weaken that momentum and money flow, pushing price lower. So over on the 1 hour, kind of hard to see there. We're again going to have to play with the way a lot of this looks, as I just made that change there. So we are trying to push forward off that support of our 69 cents. Again, watch that 71. We need to overcome and hold that, getting higher highs with higher lows to push forward. It does look like we do have a rising triangle with higher lows and consistent highs, maybe slightly higher highs. So I would watch. This could be positive. This may be either a rising triangle or a bullish continuation forming. Either of those things can help push us toward that 80 cents. So our stochastic does look like it is pulling back, but it's starting to curve up. So watch if we get a bullish cross, and if we can hold 30. If we can, RSI will remain bullish, and we will see price continue further. VWAP is pushing up, money flow is in the green, but that momentum is pulling back. So watch that VWAP. If that VWAP rejects here, as it is starting to curl, if it makes a rejection, momentum will break bearish, money flow will lose strength, and over time, that could weaken those higher time frames. So actually not last but not least, I remember we have SHIB, so I need to draw this line in white there. So Algo, or Anchor, does look like we do want to continue lower, or Algo, getting all my coins confused here. So Algo does look like we want to break lower. It does look like we have some support areas, kind of hard to make those out, but it does look like we could end up breaking that 1350, trying to come back above it, and then seeing a rejection. I would warn against this because that could be a bearish kind of channel. That does look like more of a symmetrical triangle, and then a symmetrical triangle would be a 50-50 pattern. It could go up, could go down. I really don't like trading them. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pulling back. Momentum is rounding. VWAP is pushing down, and money flow is pulling back. So watch things, as it does look like we could start to retrace if those lower time frames, like the 1 hour, does continue to weaken here. So over on the 1 hour, our stochastic is starting to make a kind of rise up. Watch if that blue can hold above orange. That could be positive. That would push RSI higher. Price could then continue forward along this trend line, and then we may try to break that 16-18 zone. So that is kind of counter to how that daily kind of projection does look. Again, that's why we want to watch these things and watch them over several days. You don't want to just go, oh, it's projected, that's what we're seeing, because you see different things depending on different ways of looking at it. So that stochastic is pulling back. Our side does look like it could pull back, so watch that stochastic close. That could lead price lower below that 1350. That VWAP is in the bearish territory. It does look like it wants to curl, so if we reject that neutral, it does look probable that we could pull back. Momentum does want to drop, and the money flow is in the green, but if that VWAP does not hold a bullish trend soon, that money flow could end up retracing, going into the red, and if that holds for several hours, that will start to weaken those higher time frames and cause a further pullback. Thank you all for watching tonight's video. Actually, sorry, almost forgot SHIB again. If I can get the right keys here, so SHIB. Again, if you have any other requests, are we on the right? Nope, this is just SHIB itself. So if you have any other requests, let me know. So SHIB, USDT. Looks like we already had that on there. So it does look like with this 1 hour projection, we could have a bit of a consolidation zone going on after pushing up slightly. That could make a small bull flag to try to give us bullish momentum. That does look a little more positive than how the daily is going to look. So Kasich is pulling back, RSI is starting to push down, that VWAP is bearish, but it does want to push up. This is a shorter wave compared to back here, so that is positive. If we get another strong wave like here and we hold bullish, it's likely we would continue higher from there. So over on the 1 day, it does look like this 1 day does project that after our consolidation, we may end up breaking down toward around that 1908.865. So I believe that may have been a little lower earlier. I believe it may have been around like that 20 or something. I can't remember. That was in our Discord. So if you're interested, visit that Discord, click that link. So Kasich does want to pull back. Our RSI is starting to drop. Momentum is rounding. Our VWAP is pulling back. And money flow does look like it wants to lose strength. So watch that VWAP close. Again, if it holds bearish on lower time frames, like this 1 hour, if we see it reject, then we likely would push lower. But if that VWAP does push forward, we do have that shortened VWAP wave that could help push us forward, as that does show bearish momentum is overall weakening, meaning bulls are buying in more than bears, and we could continue to push forward. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night. Hit the like and hit the subscribe if you have not already, and join us in that Discord. That way you can ask any questions, and it's all for free.